The first thing we're going to do is we're going to make some fairly basic edits to this track. I think before we start though, it's worth pointing out for those of you who are not used to working with editing audio, what it is exactly you're looking at. And I can demonstrate what it is by zooming in to an area of the track. So let me zoom in here using the zoom in button. And what you're looking at here are what are known as waveforms, or waves, some people call them. Waveforms is the correct term for it. What they are visual representations of the volume of the audio that you're hearing. Now, if you want, you can zoom in to a very, very high level using Audacity until you can actually see the individual points. Now, you will never, ever need to zoom in this far on an audio file, ever, because it's just, you can't really see what it is you're working on. You're looking too far. It's like sitting with your nose up against the television screen. You can't see anything. So, usually this sort of level here, that sort of level is probably more the sort of level you'd want to work with. Okay, so these are basically the waveforms you're looking at. And the higher the waveform, the louder the sound, basically. So for example, if I again zoom back out here, you can see that most of these waveforms fill the available space. And what that means is that because this is a commercially produced audio track, it's been mastered properly, and all of these waveforms are as loud as they can get without distorting. However, this area here, and this small area here, you'll see that the waves are shorter. And towards the end, they start to get shorter. So you can start to see what basic volumes all of these parts of the song are at. So at this point here, you know it's going to be quieter. And at the end, you can see it's going to fade out towards the end as well. So that's basically what the waveform looks like. And the more experienced you become with audio editing, the more you'll be able to understand this without actually having to hear it. You'll be able to see what it is you want to do. Now, the edits we're going to do are going to involve this area here. So what I need to do first of all is to zoom in. Now, I can do this by making a selection using the selection tool here. The selection tool works in two ways. I can either click and drag, you can see I've got a selection made there, or I can just simply click and it will make a selection there. But it doesn't make a selection, it makes a start point, an entry point if you like. So for example, if I, again I'm going to zoom in a wee bit so you can see what I'm doing. So if I make a selection from there to there, let's say, and I hit play, just that selection is played. It will stop at the end of it without any more input from me. And I can do that again, over here, this selection there, hit play, and it stops. If, however, I don't drag a selection, I just click the mouse there and hit play, it will play from that point to the end of the file. Etc, etc, etc. So using this tool, I'm going to go back to fit the project for a second. I'm going to make an edit to this area here. So what I want to do is to just drag the mouse over here using the selection tool and then fit the selection. So that'll take this selection here and make it fit the screen. So now that I've got my selection made, I can play it. And I can decide what I want to do. And what I want to do is to take that first wee bit there and extend it. So I want to make it twice as long. And of course when it gets to the end of there it's going to stop. So I'm going to take this first section here and I'm going to extend it. I'm going to double the length of it. So to do that, first of all I have to make a very accurate selection. Because it's music, it has to fit musically, so I have to find the start of beat 1 over here and the end of beat 4 over here. So let's have another wee look at this and have a listen in a bit more detail this time. So I'm going to zoom in again. Oops, wrong button, zoom in. I'm going to drag it back to start the selection there, so I can make the accurate selection here. Let's try this. 1. So I think the selection started, I think bar 1 starts about there. Let's try that. Yes. Happy with that. So I can now take this, and if I put my mouse towards the cursor, see it turns into a pointy hand, I can now grab that click there and just drag this out. And I know that that is where the end of bar 4, or sorry, beat 4 of that bar is. Roughly, you can see whenever it goes back up again, that's going to be start of beat 1. So it's going to be about there. And I can check it by listening to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Happy with that. Actually, did you hear there was a wee tag at the end of that? Let me just take it back. Fraction of an inch. There you go. So I can now take that selection, I can copy it using either the copy button or Control C would work as every bit as well. Copy that there. I'm now going to put my mouse where I want it to appear, which is going to be there, and paste. And I now have my selection made. I can check how that sounds from playing just before it. One, 2, 3, 4, 1. Here we go. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sounds good to me so far. What about the end of it? 1, 2, 3. Yes, I'm happy with that. So that's one way that I can make a wee edit. I can just extend that just by copying and pasting. Now the second edit that I want to make is going to be a slightly different technique. Let me show you this. If I play from, let me make that selection there and zoom to the selection, what I've got is this hand clap here. Hear it? There. I want to have 2 of those. Okay, as a musical decision, I want to make an extra one of those. So let me zoom back out just a slight wee bit here. Okay, so what I need to do first of all is to copy this area here. So again, I want to be as accurate as I can, so I want to zoom in to a sensible level, to about there, click there, and I want to just drag not to there, because that would give me an abrupt ending. I want to see this trail going down, until it goes back to 0 there, back to silence. And I'm going to copy that from there. Now, I can't just paste it because, well, let me show you what happens. I want to put it basically roughly about there. I would just do that and then paste. All sorts of weird things happen because what happened before it will then appear afterwards as well, and it just won't work. So let me let you hear what I've just done. See, it doesn't work. Okay, so what I need to do is undo that first of all. I'm going to redo that selection just to be on the safe side. So copy that. Now, what I need to do is create a new track. So I'm going to do tracks, add new, stereo. And it then gives me a new stereo track. I can then, because I've got the selection made, I can just paste, and that then appears in there. Problem is now, of course, it's going to be exactly the same time as the original. So I need to move it. And to do that, I use this tool, which is a time shift tool. So let me click on there. My cursor becomes a 2-headed arrow. I can then click that and move it around to wherever I want it to be. Okay, so for example, if I put it, let's say there, and then play from here. That's obviously the wrong place. I want it to be roughly about there. See how that sounds? Let's try that. Slightly early, maybe a wee bit there. Let's try this. Fraction back, and again. Yeah, it's too far. Let's take it back to about there, and one last time. That'll do, I'm happy with that. Now, one thing I can also do is I want the first one to be slightly quieter than the second one, so I can now go to the gain control on this track, and I can bring this down, let's say to about 9 or 10 dB. See how that sounds. This might be too far. Let's take it back up to about there. One last go. And there I have made my edits. Now, if I now zoom back to the project, you can see it's a very short edit there, because it is very short compared to the rest of the track. But now I can maybe point out that we now have a multi-track recording. When you add more tracks, you will find that very often you can end up with literally dozens of tracks down here, and it becomes quite unmanageable to try and view everything. Well, luckily, if you go to the View tab, the View menu, there's a Fit Vertically on the screen, which will basically condense however many tracks you have onto the screen so you can see them all at the same time. So there you go, you've made your first couple of edits using Audacity. There are obviously an awful lot more you can do, and we'll look at those in a bit more detail in a further video.